Hello and welcome to Buzz this week. My name is Tanay Tiwari and I am now vaccinated. हाँ थोड़ा समय लगा, मेरे fingerprints घिस गए कोविन पर slot ढूंढते ढूंढते, but I found it. Have you found it? If you found it, go get vaccinated. If you haven't, keep trying. थोड़ी तकलीफ होगी, थोड़ी निराशा होगी, but आपकी निराशा दूर करने के लिए तो क्रिकेट मीम्स और क्रिकेट न्यूज़ हम ले ही आते हैं. On the show this week, what went wrong in IPL 2021? Teams India gear up for England and Australia's week of making headlines. कभी फ्लाइट या ट्रेन मिस हुई है? अगर हुई है तो you know that every moment after that you continue looking back at that one mistake that cost you the chance of taking that train or that flight. 2 weeks have passed since IPL 2021 was postponed indefinitely. Is the BCCI now looking back at a few mistakes? Cricbuzz has reliably learned that there were practices that the BCCI practiced in IPL 2020 that they did not put in place in IPL 2021. First up, there was a UK-based company called Restrata that was in charge of organizing and ensuring and maintaining the biosecure bubbles in the UAE for IPL 2020. That company was absent here. What Restrata would do in the UAE was it would give every player and every member within these biosecure bubbles a GPS-enabled FOB, a tracking device that would ensure that it would alert the people from Restrata every time a player or the member were nearing the edge of their biosecure bubble. In addition to that, there were people from Restrata in corridors ensuring that players and members gave them correct reasons before stepping out, and also there was 24/7 CCTV surveillance. Now, this meant that the virus did not creep in to the bio bubbles in the UAE, but it did here in India. Now, on the evening of May 1st, during a practice session that was arranged for the Delhi Capitals and the Kolkata Knight Riders outside of the Motera Stadium, Amit Mishra started complaining that he was feeling ill. The DC physio Patrick Farhat attended to him and said that he was indeed feeling unwell and he was taken away from that practice session. Now, the players in the DC camp and the KKR camp mingled during that evening. That included Amit Mishra and Sandeep Warrior as well, two players who would return positive tests later.
समझ रहे हो? समझ रहे हो आप? समझ रहे हो ना?
What unfolded post that is so intriguing. सारी कहानी यही सुन लोगे क्या? Come, log into Cricbuzz Plus, subscribe to get an in-depth analysis of what went wrong in IPL 2021. It is such a superb piece by one of our finest writers, Mr. Vijay Tagore. He's given an in-depth analysis with a lot of inside information and inside stories. It will make for an intriguing read and an analytical read to give you a piece into just what happened inside those bio bubbles in IPL 2021. There's more such exciting content on Cricbuzz Plus, like season 2 of Cricbuzz in Conversation, where Harsha Bogle sits down with the best in the business to talk cricket. Just simple, good old conversation. So, किस चीज़ का इंतजार कर रहे हैं आप? इतना बेच दिया है मैंने, आपको भी पता है क्वालिटी है. तो एक काम करो दोस्तों, जल्दी से आ जाओ, सब्सक्राइब कर लो Cricbuzz Plus. After the men's team was announced for the WTC final and the England Test series that will be played later, the BCCI also announced the women's team for the one-off Test, 3 ODIs and 3 T20Is. Now, it's interesting because this will be the first time in almost 7 years that the Indian women's team will play a Test match, and only 8 players from that 18-member squad have ever played a test match for India. But this also calls for exciting times for Team India as the explosive opening batter Shafali Verma makes it to her maiden ODI side and her maiden test side as well. And that means that we are in for some explosive shot making out there in England. But there were explosive shots fired by former India coach W.V. Raman as well. On his way out, he wrote an email to BCCI President Sourav Ganguly apprising him of the things that he thinks are plaguing the environment within the Indian cricket team, and said that they must be addressed soon. Pradyuman sir, आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
यहाँ कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, जरूर कोई ना कोई गड़बड़.
There's also the men's team that will go to England for the WTC final and the England Test series. But the one name that's missing there and that caught everyone's attention was that of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar.
यहाँ कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, जरूर कोई ना कोई गड़बड़.
नहीं, यहाँ कोई गड़बड़ नहीं है. Bhuvi, of course, hasn't played a lot of red ball cricket in the build-up to this series, and hence perhaps his name was dropped, and he was quick to clarify that he's still very willing and very much in fray to play test cricket for India. अब उनकी फिटनेस थोड़ी ऊपर नीचे होती रहती है. फिटनेस है, घर के टीवी का रिमोट तो है नहीं कि आपने सेल निकाला, पैट करा और वो चलने लग गया. थोड़ा समय लगेगा, but we are very sure that once fit, Bhuvi is a swing force to reckon with. He's India's swing king, and once he comes back to India's test fold, he will pick wickets in heaps. There's one more guy who picks wickets for his sides in heaps across formats. That is Jofra Archer, who has now been ruled out of England's test series against New Zealand, complaining of nothing else, just that elbow that has been troubling him for so long. Now remember, he's just come out of an elbow injury where he had troubles with his elbow during India's T20I series, also had a hand injury, came back, recovered, started bowling for Sussex, bowled in the first innings, bowled a little in the second innings, but then complained of elbow pain. Jofra Archer ka elbow pain is like the credibility problem for Indian media. Every time you think it's gone, surfaces right back. Imagine a situation. I walk into a room full of friends who are watching Radhe, and I sit down and watch, क्योंकि भाई को तो मना नहीं कर सकते. Then after it's over, I realize that the remote was lying by my side all this while and I could have ended it. Now imagine if the sandpaper gate was Radhe, the knowledge of that sandpaper being somewhere in Bancroft's trousers was the remote, and the remote was with the Australian bowlers. Can you really pin the blame on just 3 or 4 players? Now, Cricket Australia have said that they are ready to look into it and investigate any matters from here on in case there is new information that has surfaced. New information, though, yes, sir. But Cameron Bancroft wasn't the only one who was unearthing some of the dark days from Australia's past. Tim Payne was as well, as he said that Team India is very good at creating these side shows, and those side shows, in effect, distracted his team, and that perhaps might have led to their loss against India. Payne sir, Team India के पास उस सीरीज के एंड तक पीपीटी का स्लाइड शो बनाने भर के बंदे नहीं थे. आप कैसी बातें कर रहे हैं? Tim Payne also cited the fact that Team India's unwillingness to go to the Gabba created confusion, and that led to maybe some troubles for Team Australia. Now here's a question, Penny. You really think Pant would have batted differently had it not been the Gabba? I mean, ये पंत है, ये गैबा से लेके गुजरात तक एक ही जैसी बैटिंग करता है. But I'm just very happy the Australians are now complaining of mind games against Indians. मेरे अंदर का बच्चा ना आज बहुत खुश है. Your bus challenge for this week is to set a perfect WTC final pace attack for India. Now, will you play 3 pacers or 4? I will play 4. Bumrah, Ishant, Shami and Siraj. Blow them away with pace. This might perhaps mean playing either of Ashwin or Jadeja, but I think you have to make that sacrifice. It's a very harsh call, but you have to make that sacrifice. What would your pace attack look like? 3 pacers, 4, what would be their names? Tell us using hashtag Buzz this week. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, drill, पता है आपको? भेज दो बस. That's all that we have for you in this episode of Buzz This Week. Until next week, anxiety is good. I'm telling you, it's good. कोविन पर जाकर अगर आप वैक्सीनेशन का स्लॉट ढूंढ रहे हो और उसमें एंग्जाइटी हो रही है, वैक्सीनेशन से पहले एंग्जाइटी हो रही है, इट्स गुड. द ग्रेट सचिन तेंदुलकर, उन्होंने बोला है कि उनको 10-12 साल तक हर गेम से पहले एंग्जाइटी होती थी. वैक्सीनेशन से पहले अगर आपको हो रही है, वैक्सीनेशन स्लॉट से पहले अगर आपको हो रही है, तो यू आर इन गुड कंपनी. डोंट वरी, गो गेट वैक्सीनेटेड. और ऑल्सो अगर राधे के रिव्यूज़ मिले तो बताना. मेरी यादें में बंद कर दी थी कैमरन बैनक्रॉफ्ट ने.